Lieutenant Colonel Aisha Monroe stands victorious over Officer Brett Callahan's wrecked patrol car, the Nevada sun blazing down, her phone still buzzing from a Pentagon call that flipped the script. She smirks, thinking she's crushed his racist game, until another cruiser screams in, tires smoking, and Callahan's partner storms out, gun raised, spitting vile slurs. A routine stop has morphed into a war zone, and Aisha's wind evaporates fast. This clash will scar her career, her family, her life. What's next? Before we dive in, where are you watching from? If you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe for more. The Nevada sun beats down mercilessly on Highway 95, a ribbon of asphalt slicing through the desert, 50 miles outside Las Vegas, where heat shimmers rise like ghosts from the cracked earth. Lieutenant Colonel Aisha Monroe, a 40-year-old black woman with a spine of steel and eyes that have seen too much, grips the wheel of her silver SUV. The air conditioning humming softly against the oppressive 110 degrees afternoon. She's on her way back from a military conference in Reno, her crisp olive-green uniform still pressed, despite the long drive. A faint sheen of sweat on her brow, the only sign of the day's toll. Her mind drifts to the keynote she delivered, Strategic Logistics for Rapid Troop Deployment, when a flicker in her rearview mirror snaps her back. A patrol car, white with a gold stripe, lurks a quarter-mile behind, its headlights off, but its presence undeniable. She checks her speedometer. 67 miles per hour in a 60 zone. Close enough to legal, she thinks, but her gut tightens. She's been here before. The cruiser closes in fast. Its red and blue lights flaring to life, slicing through the dusty haze. Aisha sighs, flicks on her blinker, and eases onto the gravel shoulder, tires crunching against the uneven ground. She adjusts her posture. Shoulders squared. Hands at 10 and 2. Instinct honed from years of navigating a world that often sees her skin before her rank. The patrol car pulls up tight behind her, engine growling. And out steps Officer Brett Callahan. A wiry man in his late 30s, his skin lobster red from too many hours under this unforgiving sun. His uniform's wrinkled, the badge glinting like a taunt. And his thin lips curl into something between a smirk and a scowl as he adjusts his belt, heavy with a holstered pistol and a jangling set of cuffs. He's got the gait of a man who owns this stretch of road. And the way he squints at her California plates says he's already made up his mind about her. Callahan ambles up to her window, boots kicking up puffs of dust, and taps the glass with a knuckle, sharp and impatient. Aisha lowers it with a soft whir, keeping her expression neutral. Her voice steady. "Good afternoon, officer. How can I assist you?" He doesn't answer right away. Just leans in, close enough that she can smell the stale coffee on his breath. His pale blue eyes raking over her like she's roadkill. He's sizing up. "License and registration," he snaps, his tone clipped, a razor's edge beneath the words. She nods, reaching slowly for the glove box, every move deliberate, telegraphed, so he can't claim she's reaching for something else. Her fingers brush the leather wallet holding her military ID, but she opts for her civilian driver's license instead, pairing it with the SUV's papers. She hands them over, palms up, non-threatening. "Here you go." He snatches the documents, flipping through them with a flick of his wrist. His sneer deepening as he reads her name. Aisha Monroe. Los Angeles address. California, huh? "You people always think you own the damn road out here," he mutters, loud enough to ensure she hears it. The "you people" lands like a slap, heavy with venom, and Aisha's jaw tightens. But she keeps her cool. She's a lieutenant colonel, not a rookie. She's faced worse than this punk in a badge. "Officer, may I ask why you pulled me over?" she says, her voice calm, measured, a thread of authority woven through it. Callahan huffs, ignoring her question at first, his flashlight swinging up from his belt to jab a beam straight into her eyes. She squints against the glare, hands still on the wheel, refusing to flinch. "Speeding," he finally grunts, though his tone Too smug. Too rehearsed. Clocked you at 10 miles over. Where you headed in such a hurry? Aisha knows he's lying. She wasn't going 70. But she doesn't call it out. Yet. I'm returning home from a conference in Reno, she replies, clipped, but polite. I didn't realize I was over the limit. Must have missed a sign. His gaze narrows, picking apart her composed demeanor like it's a personal insult. He leans closer, the flashlight lingering on her face, then sweeping into the back seat, probing the shadows. Fancy ride for a desert run, he says, his voice dripping with suspicion. You got anything in here I should know about? Drugs? Weapons? Cash? Aisha's pulse quickens, but her face stays a mask. She knows this script. Seen it play out in too many towns. Too many stops. No, officer, she says firmly. Just my belongings, and some paperwork from work. His eyes flick to her uniform, the silver oak leaves on her collar catching the light. And for a split second, he pauses, like he's registering something. Then the sneer returns. Sharper. Work, huh? What's a gal like you do, dressed up like that? Halloween come early? The mockery is blatant now, laced with a racism so casual it's almost lazy. And Aisha feels the heat rise in her chest. She's not just a driver to him. She's a target. I'm a physician, and a lieutenant colonel, in the U.S. Army Reserve, she says. Her words crisp, each syllable a quiet defiance. Attached to a medical unit out of Fort Irwin. She expects, hopes, it'll shift the dynamic. Make him rethink his game. But Callahan laughs. A harsh, barking sound that echoes off the SUV's metal frame. Sure you are, sweetheart. And I'm General Patton. Nice costume though, almost had me. He steps back, twirling her license between his fingers like it's a poker chip, his amusement morphing into something darker. You stay put. We're gonna have a little chat about where you really got this car. He struts back to his cruiser, leaving Aisha simmering in the driver's seat. The desert heat creeping in through the open window. She watches him in the side mirror, his silhouette hunched over his radio, probably running her plates. Looking for any excuse to escalate. Her mind races. This isn't just a ticket stop anymore. It's personal. A power trip, fueled by the color of her skin and the audacity of her poise. She's dealt with bigots before, in uniform and out. But Callahan's got an edge to him. A reckless gleam that says he's not done playing yet. The sun dips a fraction lower, casting long shadows across the highway, and Aisha braces herself. She's got her wits. Her training. And a phone in her pocket. Whatever he throws next, she'll be ready. But ready might not be enough. Callahan's already decided she doesn't belong here, not on his road, not in that uniform, not anywhere he can't control. He's not just a cop. He's a gatekeeper. And Aisha's about to find out how far he'll go to keep her in what he thinks is her place. The hum of his radio crackles faintly through the still air, and she catches a snippet. His voice, low and conspiratorial. Saying something about checking her story. The desert stretches endless around them. A silent witness to the storm brewing. And Aisha knows, this is only the beginning. The Nevada sun squats low on the horizon now, painting Highway 95 in hues of burnt orange. The air thick with dry heat that clings to everything like a second skin. Aisha Monroe sits rigid in her silver SUV. The engine ticking as it cools. Her hands still locked on the steering wheel, while Officer Brett Callahan disappears into his cruiser with her license. She knows he's digging. Itching to find something, anything, to justify the venom she saw in his eyes. Her pulse thuds steady but hard. A drumbeat of caution, honed from years in uniform. From countless moments where her skin marked her as prey, before her rank could shield her. The desert sprawls silent around her, cacti standing like sentinels, but the quiet feels deceptive. A prelude to something uglier. Callahan emerges from his patrol car after 5 long minutes. His boots crunching gravel with purpose. His face a mask of smug triumph, twisted with disdain. He's empty-handed. No citation pad. No radio chatter. Just that flashlight swinging lazily at his hip. And a glint in his stare that says he's already written her story in his head. He stops at her window, leaning in too close again, his shadow cutting across her lap. "Step out, girl," he barks. Voice low and jagged, like a blade scraping stone. "Or I'll drag you out myself." The girl lands like a punch, stripping her of every ounce of authority she's earned. And Aisha's breath catches, indignation flaring hot in her chest. But she's not green. She knows escalation's his game, not hers. She unclips her seatbelt, slow and deliberate, and opens the door. Stepping onto the shoulder with the poise of a soldier. Her 5'9" frame unbowed, despite the tension coiling in her shoulders. Callahan towers over her. A good 6 inches taller. His wiry build taut with aggression. Sunburned skin stretched tight over sharp cheekbones. He smells of sweat and cheap cologne, a sour mix that stings her nose, as he circles her like a vulture. "Turn around." "Hands on the hood," he orders. His tone dripping with contempt. A predator sizing up a kill. Aisha complies. Planting her palms on the SUV's still warm metal, the heat seeping into her skin as she stares at the shimmering asphalt ahead. She feels his eyes boring into her back. Hears the faint jingle of his cuffs. And then, his hands are on her. Rough. Invasive. Slamming between her shoulder blades to shove her harder against the vehicle. "Keep still, you uppity black trash," he growls. The slur spilling out casual and cruel. A weapon he wields without hesitation. His fingers dig into her arms. Patting her down with a force that's less procedure, and more punishment. Knuckles grinding against her ribs. Palms scraping her hips. Her uniform, crisp. Official. A symbol of her service, means nothing to him. He's tearing through her dignity instead. Searching for an excuse he's already decided exists. "You think you're some big shot, huh?" he mutters, breath hot against her ear, as he yanks her jacket open, buttons straining. "Out here, you're just another nobody I get to put in line." Aisha bites her tongue. Tasting copper. Her mind racing. Training screams at her to fight back, but survival whispers to endure. She's alone on this stretch. No backup. No witnesses. Just a racist cop with a badge and a grudge. He finishes the frisk. Finding nothing but her keys and a pen. And steps back, unsatisfied, his scowl deepening. "Stay there," he snaps, circling to the SUV's driver's side door. He doesn't ask permission. Just rips it open, and dives in. A tornado of spite. Aisha turns her head slightly, watching through the corner of her eye as he ransacks her world. He flips the center console, scattering pens and a granola bar across the seat. Then tears into her duffel bag in the back. Her spare uniform spills out, epaulets glinting, and he snorts, tossing it aside like garbage. A polished case, holding her service medals, earned through blood and sleepless nights, clatters onto the floorboard. And he stomps it under his boot. Grinding the heel in. "Fancy toys," he mocks, ripping the lining of the bag, hunting for hidden compartments that aren't there. The passenger seat's next. He pries open the glove box, dumping maps and a first aid kit into a heap. Then moves to the trunk. Popping it with a savage yank. Her medical kit, a compact lifeline from her army days, topples out. Bandages and gauze fluttering onto the gravel. He kicks them aside. Muttering, "What's a doc need all this for? Hiding something, I bet." Aisha's fists clench against the hood. Nails biting into her palms, but she keeps her voice locked down. Her face, a stone wall. He's got no warrant. No cause. Nothing but his own hatred driving this. But out here, his badge is law. And she's the outlaw, in his eyes. The SUV rocks as he slams the trunk shut. Empty-handed again. His frustration boiling over into a snarl. He stalks back to her. Flashlight swinging up to blind her again, the beam a white-hot accusation. Clean, huh? Too clean, he says. Voice tight with paranoia. Folks like you always got secrets. Drugs. Cash. Something. I'll find it. Aisha meets his gaze through the glare. Her calm cracking, just enough to let steel slip through. Officer, I've told you who I am. Lieutenant Colonel Aisha Monroe. U.S. Army Reserve. There's nothing illegal here. You're wasting your time. Her words are a lifeline. A plea for reason. But they're also a spark. And Callahan ignites. Wasting my time, he roars, stepping so close, his spit flecks her cheek. You don't tell me what to do, girl. I say jump, you jump. Or I make you. He grabs her arm. Wrenching it behind her back. And Aisha stifles a grunt as pain shoots through her shoulder. He's not cuffing her. Not yet. Just twisting. Testing. Daring her to resist, so he can escalate further. You think that uniform scares me, he hisses, his grip tightening. Out here, I'm the king. And you're nothing but a trespasser. The racism's naked now. A blade he's not bothering to sheath. And Aisha feels the weight of it. Centuries of it, pressing down. She could break his hold. Her training's drilled that into her muscle memory. But she knows the cost. A black woman. Fighting a white cop. In the middle of nowhere. And it's a gamble she can't take. Yet. He releases her with a shove. Sending her stumbling against the SUV. Her hip banging the door. Don't move a muscle, he growls, circling back to his cruiser. His flashlight beam slicing the dusk like a warning. Aisha straightens. Breath ragged, but controlled. Her mind a battlefield of rage and strategy. He's found nothing. But he's not done. She can see it in the hunch of his shoulders, the way he mutters into his radio, low and furtive. She's a puzzle he's determined to break. A threat to his tiny kingdom of dust and power. Her phone still in her pocket. A lifeline he hasn't spotted yet. And her fingers itch to reach for it. But not now. Not while he's watching. The desert darkens around them. Shadows swallowing the last slivers of daylight. And Callahan's voice drifts back, sharp with intent. We're not finished, Colonel, he calls, the title a mockery, dripping with bile. He's planning something. Aisha can feel it. A storm gathering in the stillness. She's faced enemies before, in war zones and boardrooms. But this is different. Raw. Personal. A hatred that doesn't care about her stars, or her service. Her SUV sits gutted beside her. A silent casualty. And she knows, whatever comes next will be worse. Callahan's not just a cop. He's a fuse. And she's the flame he's desperate to snuff out. Night clamps down hard on Highway 95. The Nevada desert swallowing the last threads of dusk. Leaving only the faint glow of Aisha Monroe's silver SUV. And the harsh pulse of Officer Brett Callahan's patrol car lights. Aisha stands beside her ravaged vehicle. Her uniform creased and dusty from his rough hands. Her hip throbbing where she hit the door. The air's cooled to a sharp 85 degrees. But sweat still beads on her forehead. A mix of heat and fury she's barely holding in check. Callahan's in his cruiser now. Hunched over his dashboard. His radio spitting static. As he mutters something Aisha can't quite catch. Something about digging deeper. Her gut churns. He's not letting this go. Not after finding nothing in her SUV. But medals and bandages. He sneered at her. Laughed in her face. Treated her stars like scraps. Her fingers hover near her pocket. Brushing the outline of her backup phone. A slim, military-issue burner she keeps for emergencies. This qualifies. She glances at him. Through the cruiser's smeared windshield. His silhouette a coiled spring ready to snap. He's still got her license. Her registration. Her dignity in his grubby hands. And she's done waiting for him to tire of his game. With a slow, deliberate breath. She slips the phone out. Keeping it low against her thigh. Movements masked by the SUV's bulk. Callahan's too busy. Gloating into his radio. To notice. His voice rising with a smug edge. Yeah, she's clean, but I know she's hiding something. Aisha's lips press thin. He's building a lie. A trap. And she's not about to let it close around her. She punches in a number she knows by heart. Her thumb steady. Despite the adrenaline spiking her veins. Major Carla Hensley. Her Pentagon liaison. Picks up on the second ring. Her voice, cutting through the line. Like a blade through fog. Monroe. What's wrong? Aisha keeps her eyes on Callahan. Her tone low, but firm. Every word, a lifeline. Major. I'm on Highway 95. 50 miles out of Vegas. Pulled over by a cop named Brett Callahan. Dust Creek PD. He's harassing me. Searched my car without consent. Roughed me up. Smashed my personal phone. Claims I'm speeding. But it's a shakedown. Racial. I need intervention. Now. There's a beat of silence. Then Hensley's voice hardens. All business. Stay calm, Colonel. Put me on speaker. Let's see what this clown's made of. Aisha taps the button. Raises the phone, just as Callahan swings his door open. Stepping back into the night with a swagger. That falters. When he hears the crack. Of an unfamiliar voice. Spilling from her hand. Officer Brett Callahan. Dust Creek Police Department, Hensley announces. Her tone pure steel. Echoing across the empty highway. This is Major Carla Hensley. U.S. Department of Defense. Pentagon Medical Intelligence Branch. You're detaining Lieutenant Colonel Aisha Monroe. An active reservist under my command. Identify yourself. And explain this stop. Immediately. Callahan freezes mid-stride. His flashlight dropping to his side. The beam slicing wild across the gravel. His sunburned face pales. Under the red and blue flicker of his own lights. Eyes darting from Aisha. To the phone. Like it's a live grenade. Sweat beads on his upper lip. And for a split second. Aisha thinks he might back down. His bravado cracking. A bully caught off guard. But then. His jaw sets. And he steps closer. Voice rising over the desert wind. This ain't your jurisdiction, lady. She's mine. Speeding. Suspicious. The works. I don't answer to some desk jockey in D.C. Hensley doesn't flinch. Her response is ice cold. Precise. Wrong, officer. Colonel Monroe's status makes her a federal asset. You're interfering with a reservist on official travel. Violating Title 10, Section 1231. Give me your badge number. Or I escalate this. To your sheriff. Your state patrol. And the FBI. Pick your poison. Aisha watches Callahan's Adam's apple bob. His fingers twitching toward his belt. Not his gun. But his radio. Like he's weighing his odds. She stands taller. The phone a shield now. Her calm, masking the storm inside. Hensley's authority is her trump card. And it's landing hard. Callahan stammering. I was just doing my job. But it's weak. Unraveling. He wipes his brow. Muttering. Badge. 479. And Aisha feels a flicker of triumph. She's got him. On the ropes. 479, Hensley repeats. Crisp and damning. Stand down, Callahan. Release her documents. End this stop. And step away from her vehicle. You've got no probable cause. Your search was illegal. And we've got her statement. Dust Creek's about to get a visit from Internal Affairs if you don't comply. Callahan's eyes narrow. Fury flashing through his panic. But he's cornered. He fumbles her license and registration from his pocket. Tossing them onto the SUV's hood with a slap. His glare, venomous. You think you're hot stuff, huh? He spits at Aisha. Low enough Hensley might not hear. Callan, in your big shots don't change nothin' out here. But he's retreating. Boots dragging. His swagger deflated. As he heads back to his cruiser. Slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. Aisha exhales. Snagging her papers. Her fingers trembling just a touch. As she slides them into her jacket. Thank you, Major, she says into the phone. Voice steady again. I'm clear to go. Hensley's reply is clipped. Protective. Drive safe, Colonel. I'm logging this. Dust Creek's on notice. Call if he tries anything else. The line clicks off. And Aisha pockets the burner. Adrenaline ebbing into a shaky relief. She's won this round. Callahan slouched in his seat. Headlights dimming. As he kills the sirens. His power play. Crushed by a single call. She climbs into her SUV. The torn interior a bitter reminder of his spite. And starts the engine. Dust swirling as she pulls back onto the highway. The night stretches ahead. Vegas, a faint glow on the horizon. And she lets herself believe it's over. But it's not. As her taillights fade. Callahan's radio crackles to life inside his cruiser. His knuckles white on the wheel. He's silent for a moment. Staring after her. Then picks up the mic. His voice, a low growl. This isn't over, Colonel, he says. Not to her. But to someone on the other end. Someone who answers with a gruff. We handle it. The omniscience of the desert night. Reveals what Aisha can't see. Callahan's not alone in this. His pride's wounded. But his malice is alive. Festering. And he's got allies. Waiting in the wings. She's driving away victorious. For now. Her focus on the road ahead. Oblivious to the shadow stirring behind her. The Pentagon's flex rattled him, sure. But it also lit a fuse. One that's burning fast. Leading to a reckoning. She won't see coming. Aisha's tires hum against the asphalt. The desert wind whistling through her cracked window. She grips the wheel tighter. Replaying the call in her head. Hensley's voice, her armor. Her rank, a weapon. And it worked. Callahan's nothing but a speck in her rearview now. She dares to think she's untouchable. That justice prevailed. That this is the end of his reach. But the night knows better. Callahan's not done. He's humiliated. Cornered. And that makes him dangerous. His parting shot wasn't a bluff. It was a promise. And the highway stretching before her is about to turn into a gauntlet. She can't outrun yet. The Nevada night unfurls like a black shroud over Highway 95. The stars, pinpricks against an endless void. 20 miles past Aisha Monroe's clash with Officer Brett Callahan. Her silver SUV hums along at a steady 60 miles per hour. The torn seats and scattered metals are a quiet testament to his spite. But her grip on the wheel is firm. Her mind settling into the relief of escape. The Pentagon's intervention still echoes in her ears. Major Hensley's voice. A lifeline that yanked Callahan's leash and left him a defeated speck in her dust. Vegas glimmers faintly ahead. A beacon of safety. And Aisha lets her shoulders ease. The desert wind whipping through her cracked window. At a brisk 70 degrees. She's a soldier. A survivor. She's faced worse than a petty cop's tantrum. 20 miles feels like a lifetime ago. Then. Her rearview mirror flares. Headlights. Sudden and fierce. Tearing through the dark. Like a predator's eyes. A vehicle's closing fast. No sirens. No warning. Just raw speed. And Aisha's pulse kicks up. Instinct sharpening her senses. She squints. Catching the white and gold flash of a Dust Creek patrol cruiser. Its grille, a snarling beast. As it roars up behind her. Callahan. Her breath catches. He's back. And he's not playing by rules anymore. Before she can react, the cruiser slams into her bumper. A bone-rattling jolt that snaps her forward. Seatbelt biting into her chest. The SUV fishtails. Tires screaming against asphalt. And Aisha wrestles the wheel. Her training snapping into gear. As she fights to keep it on the road. Son of a... she mutters. Teeth gritted. But there's no time to finish. The cruiser rams her again. Harder. Metal grinding metal. And this time. She can't hold it. Her SUV veers right. Skidding off the highway. Into a dry gulch. Gravel spraying like shrapnel. The vehicle lurches. Bouncing over rocks. And slams to a stop. Against a jagged boulder. The hood crumpling. With a sickening crunch. Aisha's head jerks. Pain flaring in her neck. But she's alive. Alert. Hands already fumbling. For her burner phone. Dust chokes the air. As she peers out the windshield. Callahan's cruiser screeches to a halt. 20 yards up. Its driver's door flying open. He storms out. A wiry silhouette. Fueled by rage. But he's not alone. Another figure emerges from the passenger side. Officer Dale Pruitt. A hulking mountain of a man. His buzz-cut head gleaming under the moonlight. A swastika tattoo. Peeking from his rolled-up sleeve. As he cracks his knuckles. Aisha's stomach drops. This isn't a stop. It's an ambush. Callahan strides toward her. His face twisted into a mask of hate. Eyes wild. With the thrill of revenge. Thought you'd run to your fancy friends, huh? He bellows. Voice cutting through the night. Pentagon can't save you out here, girl. The slur's a whip crack. And Pruitt laughs. A low, guttural sound. As they close in. Aisha kicks her door open. Stumbling onto the uneven ground. Her uniform clinging to her sweat-slick skin. She's bruised. Shaken. But her stance is defiant. Feet planted. Fists ready. Back. Off. Callahan. She warns. Voice steady. Despite the odds. You're digging your own grave. He smirks. Unholstering his cuffs. The steel glinting like a promise. Pruitt lunges first. Massive hands grabbing her arms. Pinning them behind her. With a force that makes her shoulder scream. She twists. Military reflexes surging. But he's too strong. His grip, a vice. As he shoves her face first into the dirt. Gravel bites her cheek. Blood welling. And Callahan's boots thud closer. His shadow looming. You're mine now. He snarls. Snapping the cuffs tight around her wrists. The metal, cold and biting. Resisting arrest. That's what this is. Should have stayed in your lane, black. The words drip with venom. A racial hatred so raw. It's almost primal. And Aisha's mind races. 2 against 1. No phone. No backup. She's been in firefights. Stitched soldiers under mortar fire. But this? This feels personal. A vendetta carved. From her skin. And her stars. Pruitt holds her up. His meaty fingers digging into her biceps. And Callahan circles like a jackal. His flashlight now a club. Tapping it against his palm. Pentagon, huh? Big talk. He spits. Then swings the flashlight. Cracking it against her knee. Pain explodes, white hot. Aisha gasps, her leg buckling. But Pruitt holds her upright. Forcing her to take it. Out here, I'm God. Callahan says. His voice a hiss of triumph. No one's coming for you. Blood trickles down her face. Mixing with dust. And Aisha's vision blurs. But not her resolve. She's a colonel, damn it. Not a victim. Her eyes dart to her SUV. The burner phone. Somewhere in the wreckage. But Pruitt's grip tightens. And Callahan's next blow looms. Aimed at her ribs. The gulch is a tomb. Silent, except for their breathing. And the distant hum of the highway. Aisha's mind churns. Callahan's not just mad. He's unhinged. And Pruitt's his muscle. A racist thug. Happy to break her. For sport. She'd thought the Pentagon call was her shield. Her ticket out. And for a fleeting moment. She'd won. Now. That victory's ash in her mouth. Replaced by the bitter taste of blood. And the crushing weight of their hatred. They drag her toward the cruiser. Her boots scraping the ground. And Callahan mutters about teaching her a lesson. Pruitt chuckles. His tattoo flexing with every step. She's cuffed. Outnumbered. But her spirit? Unbroken. Somewhere in the chaos. There's a way out. She just has to find it. The cruiser's trunk pops open. A black maw waiting to swallow her. And Callahan's grin is feral. A predator savoring the kill. No fancy DC brass here, he says. Shoving her toward it. Just you. And us. Aisha's heart hammers. But her training kicks in. Stay alive. Stay sharp. Wait for the crack in their armor. The desert night watches. Indifferent. As they manhandle her closer. Their laughter. A sick echo in the gulch. She'd escaped once. Outsmarted him with a call. But now. Callahan's rewritten the rules. And this? This is his revenge. Raw. Brutal. And far from over. Hey folks. What do you think? Comment number 1. If you agree Aisha's strength is what keeps her fighting against these racist cops, hit like if you're rooting for her. And subscribe for the next insane twist. Justice is on the line. Don't miss it. Now picture this. Aisha's trapped, cuffed, and facing two monsters. In the dark. What's the one move she could pull to flip this nightmare on its head? Stay tuned to find out. The Dust Creek police cruiser jolts over potholed backroads, its shocks groaning as it hauls Aisha Monroe deeper into the Nevada Canyon. 20 minutes from the Gulch, where Officer Brett Callahan and his brute sidekick, Dale Pruitt, ambushed her. She's crammed in the back, wrists aching under tight cuffs, her uniform smeared with blood and dirt, her knee throbbing from Callahan's flashlight blow. The air is stale, thick with the stench of sweat and motor oil. The divider's scratched plexiglass traps her in a cage of their making. Callahan drives, his wiry frame hunched forward, knuckles white on the wheel, while Pruitt rides shotgun, his bulk spilling over the seat. A meaty hand tapping the dashboard to a silent rhythm. They're silent now, but the tension crackles. Callahan's fury simmers, Pruitt's glee a quiet rumble. And Aisha knows this isn't over. Her silver SUV is a wreck in the desert. Her burner phone lost in the chaos. And Vegas feels a lifetime away. The cruiser lurches into Dust Creek, a nowhere town of sagging trailers and faded signs. The kind of place where the stars outshine the streetlights. They pull up to a squat, cinderblock station. Its neon sheriff sign flickering like a dying pulse. Callahan kills the engine, and Pruitt yanks the back door open. His swastika tattoo stark under the floodlights. As he hauls Aisha out, she stumbles, her injured knee buckling. But he jerks her upright, fingers bruising her arm. Move it, he grunts, shoving her toward the entrance. Callahan strides ahead, his boots echoing on cracked concrete. And Aisha's mind races. Stay sharp. Catalog everything. The station door creaks open, revealing a dim lobby. The air heavy with mildew and cigarette smoke. A deputy lounges behind the counter. A paunchy man with a graying mustache, his eyes lighting up with a smirk. As Callahan drags her in. Well, what's this? The deputy drawls, leaning forward. His badge reads, Hicks. Callahan tosses Aisha's crumpled license onto the desk. His voice, tight with venom. Resisting arrest. Out on 95. Speeding. Fighting us. Real troublemaker. Pruitt nods, cracking his neck. Yeah. She swung at us. Nearly took Brett's head off. The lie is so blatant. Aisha almost laughs. But her jaw is clenched. Blood crusting on her cheek. She stands tall. Despite the pain. Her uniform. A shredded flag of her rank. And she speaks. Voice steady. That's a lie. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Aisha Monroe. U.S. Army Reserve. They assaulted me. Ran me off the road. I need a phone call. Now. Hicks blinks. Then snickers. Glancing at her oak leaves. Like their costume jewelry. Army, huh? Sure, princess. You're a disorderly vagrant. Till I say otherwise. Callahan leans in. His breath, hot with spite. She's full of it, Hicks. Check her story if you want. But she's going in the tank. Hicks shrugs. Tapping her license into a clunky computer. His fingers, sluggish. The screen glows green. No warrants. No record. But he doesn't care. Clean, huh? Doesn't mean squat. He mutters. Scribbling her name. On a log sheet. Marking her as Jane Doe. Disorderly conduct. Aisha's stomach twists. This isn't incompetence. It's a wall. A system. Rigged to bury her. I have rights. She says. Sharp. Clear. Lawyer. Phone. You're violating protocol. Hicks smirks wider. Nodding to Pruitt. Who grabs her arm again. Right. Out here, we make M. Move. They drag her. Down a narrow hall. Flickering fluorescence. Casting jagged shadows. The smell of bleach and urine. Stinging her nose. A steel door clangs open. Revealing a holding cell. 8 by 10. Concrete walls. Etched with graffiti. Go back to Africa. Scrawled in black marker. A swastika. Scratched beside it. Aisha is shoved inside. The cuffs. Biting deeper. As Pruitt slams her against the wall. Her shoulder screaming. Enjoy your stay, Colonel. Callahan sneers. The title a taunt. His eyes glinting with victory. They uncuff her. Finally. And she rubs her wrists. Blood streaking her palms. But before she can speak. The door bangs shut. The lock clicking. With finality. Their boots fade down the hall. Hicks's laughter. A faint echo. And Aisha is alone. The cell's chill. Seeping into her bones. She paces the tiny space. 3 steps, wall to wall. Her knee. Pulsing with every move. A rusted bench. Bolted to the floor. A cracked sink. Dripping in the corner. No window. No clock. Just the hum. Of a dying bulb overhead. Her uniform. A mess. Blood. Drying stiff. On the collar. Her medals. Symbols of battles won. Are lost in the gulch. Crushed. Under Callahan's boot. She'd thought. Her rank would surface. That someone. Would check her story. But dust creaks a machine. Oiled with prejudice. Grinding her down. Callahan's tale. She attacked them. Is laughable. But Hicks bought it. Without a blink. And Pruitt's muscle. Backs it up. Her phone's gone. Her voice, silenced. And the Pentagon. Feels like a dream. A lifeline. Severed. By these small-town tyrants. Aisha sinks onto the bench. Wincing. As her knee protests. And scans the cell. For options. The graffiti mocks her. A chorus of hate. From faceless cowards. And she clenches her fists. Nails digging into her skin. She's a physician. A colonel. 40 years. Of breaking ceilings. Stitching soldiers. Commanding respect. And now. She's nothing. A number in a logbook. Erased. By men. Who see her skin. And stop there, but Aisha Monroe isn't built to break. Not in Fallujah. Not in Kandahar. And not in a backwoods Nevada jail. She leans forward. Elbows on her knees. Breathing slow. Every inhale, control. Every exhale, calculation. Callahan and Pruitt think they've won. That they've buried her. In silence and concrete. But they've made one mistake. They left her alive. The cell camera in the corner clicks softly. A faint red light glowing. She stares straight into it. Eyes fierce. She doesn't scream. Doesn't beg. She waits. Bides her time. Because the Pentagon's not stupid. Hensley will notice the silence. The missing ping from her phone. The unexplained black hole. Where a colonel vanished. And when they come. They'll come hard. She just has to hold on. Until the hammer drops. Across town. Callahan slouches in the station's break room. Feet on the table. A beer, half drained, sweating beside him. Pruitt's leaned against the fridge. Cracking his knuckles. You think she'll talk? He grunts. Callahan sneers. She already did. That Pentagon call means nothing. She's in the system now. Hours. He swigs from the bottle. Wipes his mouth. By the time DC sends someone, she'll be long gone. Pruitt raises an eyebrow. Gone. Callahan grins. Slow. Transfer. Out of county. Overcrowding. Paperwork'll get lost. Maybe she resists again. Ends up hurt. Real shame. He lifts the beer. In a mock toast. To accidents. Pruitt chuckles. Dust Creek Justice. Back in the cell. Aisha paces again. Her knees screaming now. But she doesn't stop. Movement. Keeps her sharp. Keeps her from falling into despair. She's counting time. By the flickers in the ceiling bulb. 12 per minute. Roughly. She estimates. She's been in here. Almost 4 hours. Too long. But not long enough. To erase her. Someone's noticed. She has to believe that. Suddenly. Footsteps. Heavy. Coming down the hall. She stiffens. Callahan again. Pruitt. No. Different rhythm. Lighter. The slot in the door slides open. A new face appears. Young. Brown hair. Wide eyes. Uniform crisp. Badge, Deputy Ramirez. Colonel Monroe. He whispers. She snaps to the door. Hope flaring. Yes. Who are you? He glances over his shoulder. Whispers faster. I heard what they did. I checked your file. You're real. You don't belong here. She steps close. Voice urgent. Then help me. Get a message out. Pentagon contact. Major Hensley. You'll find her in my travel orders. They're in the evidence locker. Ramirez hesitates. Sweat on his brow. I could get fired. Worse. Aisha's tone turns razor sharp. And I could die in here. You saw what they did. You do nothing, you're part of it. Silence. Then. He nods. I'll try. Hang tight. The slot clicks shut. His footsteps fade. Aisha exhales. Shaky. A crack in the wall. Small. But it's there. She sits again. Listening. The building hums. Old pipes. Distant radios. The lull. Before the reckoning. Hours crawl. No food. No water. But she waits. Unmoving now. A statue of resolve. Then. Shouts. Far off. Urgent. Boots thunder down the hall. Multiple sets. The air shifts. The lock on her cell. Clatters. The door bursts open. And Ramirez stands there. Breathless. Behind him. 3 men in dark suits. And 1 woman. Major Carla Hensley. Eyes blazing. Phone in one hand. Folder in the other. "Colonel," she says. Stepping forward. "Stand down. You're safe." Relief. Hits Aisha like a wave. But she doesn't collapse. She rises. Back straight. Salutes. Hensley returns it. Tight. Then steps aside. As the suits flood in. FBI. JAG officers. Pentagon brass. The station erupts. Callahan's protests die in his throat. As he's slammed against the wall. Pruitt's dragged out of the locker room. Half-dressed. Still holding a beer. Hicks tries to vanish. Into a file cabinet. But they're all scooped up. Like trash. Hensley turns to Aisha. "Let's get you out of here." She nods. Silent. And walks. Out of the cell. Without a limp. Dust Creek fades. In the rear view. As a black SUV. Whisks her away. And behind her. Sirens wail. Real justice. This time. The Pentagon briefings come fast. Investigations launched. Body cams seized. Logs scrutinized. Every lie Callahan and Pruitt scribbled. Vaporized. The footage from the cruiser. Audio from the station. All damning. Every word a nail. In their own coffin. And Aisha? She doesn't hide. She doesn't flinch. She stands tall. In every interview. Every inquiry. A uniform freshly pressed. Her voice, unwavering. No rage. Just truth. Cold. Unstoppable. The nation listens. The media swarms. Army colonel assaulted by racist cops, saved by Pentagon call. The headline screams across every screen. And overnight. Dust Creek secrets. Are ripped open. More victims come forward. Whispers become voices. Voices become charges. Charges become trials. Callahan and Pruitt. Gone. Stripped of their badges. Facing federal prison. No parole. And Hicks? Retired. Early. Silently. The town reels. And reforms begin. Too little. Too late. But real. Aisha testifies before Congress. Eyes steady. Back straight. Her scars, hidden. But present. When asked what justice means. She replies. Justice means not having to make that call in the first place. The room goes silent. And every lawmaker in it feels the weight of her words. She returns to Fort Irwin. Months later. Greeted by a line of salutes. That stretches across the base. Her troops. Proud. Unflinching. Carrying her story. As armor. At the next conference. She takes the stage again. But this time. Her keynote isn't about logistics. It's about survival. Integrity. Resilience. She speaks not just as a colonel, but as a symbol. A warrior who stood up to the very people who swore to serve and protect, and exposed. What happens when that promise breaks? The audience rises. Applause thunderous. Some in tears. And in the back row, Major Hensley stands. Arms crossed. A smile flickering. Aisha sees her. Nods once. Silent thanks. The battle is over. But the war? Not yet. Because for every dust creek, there's another town. Another badge. Twisted by hate. But now, they know. They all know. That a woman like Aisha doesn't back down. Doesn't disappear. She endures. She fights. She survives. And every time she stands up, she makes it harder for the next bigot to stay hidden. Her scars, they don't define her. They arm her. Because justice isn't a courtroom. It's a choice. Over and over. To rise. To speak. To face down fear. With nothing but truth. And in that truth, Aisha Monroe became more than a soldier. She became a reckoning.